Who's there?
The wild man.
Well, come on in and do your thing.
Hey, it's school time, and we're in the classroom with three great pupils. That's right, three great young fellas about 6 or 7 years of age, an Italian boy, a colored boy, and a little Jewish boy. And the teacher said to all three pupils, "Pupils, we are going to have a sentence bee." I said, "A sentence bee? I never heard of nothing like that." "A spelling bee, yes, but a sentence bee." And the teacher said to all them little 6 and 7 years old, "I want you to get together and give me a sentence and use the word definitely. In case you cannot use the word definitely, you have permission to question your teacher." The first one jumped up and was named Solomon, the little Jewish boy. He said, "Teacher, I don't have to question you, teacher, because I got my sentence together." The teacher said, "Let me hear it, Solomon, but remember, it must include the word definitely." Solomon jumped up and said, "It is raining outside, and the ground is definitely wet." The teacher said, "That's sure enough beautiful, Solomon. Next pupil, please." Luigi jumped up, the little Italian boy, and said, "Teacher, got my sentence together." The teacher said, "Remember, Luigi, it must include the word definitely, and if it don't, you can question me." And Luigi said, "I don't have to question you, teacher. I got my sentence together." The teacher said, "Let me hear it, Luigi." The little Italian boy jumped up and said, "I have eaten 2 bowls of spaghetti, and my tummy is definitely full." The teacher said, "That sure is beautiful. That's beautiful." And all of a sudden, it's time for the brother. He didn't say nothing, so she called him by his first name. "Rufus!" "Oh, teacher, I wasn't asleep. I wasn't asleep, teacher. I just wanted to question you before I give out with my sentence." The teacher said, "You have permission to question me, Rufus, but your question must help you give out with a sentence and include the word definitely." He said, "If I can question you, teacher, I got my sentence together." The teacher said, "What is your question, Rufus?" Rufus said, "Teacher, is a fart lumpy?" The teacher said, "Repeat your question, Rufus." Rufus said, "I said, is a fart lumpy?" The teacher said, "No, it is not." Rufus said, "Well, I have definitely shitted in my pants." Problems, everybody's got problems. Walking into the club, and all of a sudden I noticed all the waitresses out there in front of the club with no clothes on, naked. I walked up to one of the waitresses. I says, "Girls, why are you out here naked like this?" And they said, "We are on a strike. And we're not gonna put no clothes on until we get a raise." And I looked at all them naked chicks. I said, and I took off all my clothes and got naked too and laid right down there beside him. And one of the waitresses looked at me and said, "Wow, man, what are you doing down here with your clothes off?" I said, "Honey, I'm on a strike too, and I'm going to work as soon as I get me a raise." Got a little upset the other day reading the newspaper, looking at the pictures of the astronauts, and never did I see a dark face in that program. Never have I seen a black man heading for the moon. So I sent the president a telegram, and I stated in my telegram, "Dear President, as an American citizen, sincerely and dedicated to my country, knowing that you have been sending astronauts to the moon, and each and every time they're all Caucasians, each and every time they're white men. Not only did you send 1, you sent 2, and then you sent 3, and they were all white men. Dear President, as an American citizen in the United States of America, I would like to know sincerely, will there be a Negro astronaut in your next space program?" 2 days later, got a telegram from the president. But I still don't understand it, because all the telegram said, "In reply, here's a definite answer to your question about a Negro astronaut. I would like to let you know sincerely, Wild Man Steve, there will be a coon on the moon by June." I'm talking about Italian, the Negro, and the Jew. That's right. When I talk about it, I don't know, it just gives me a good feeling. A lot of times people say, "Well, you only talk about the Italian, the Jewish, and the Negro man. How come? What about the kids?" Well, they get along good together. They really do, and I can prove it. 3 of them down south were swimming, and all of a sudden they was out, having a good time, and they were just swimming, having a ball, and all of a sudden they saw this man out on the boat, and the man boat turned over, and the man hollered, "Help! Help! help! The Italian, the Negro, and the Jewish boy, like good Boy Scouts, they swam to the man, rescued him, brought him back to land, and was giving him artificial respiration and brought him back to life again. And the man said, fellas, you don't know what you did. You just saved my life. And I'm the richest man in this state, and not only the richest man in this state, I'm the governor of this state. And you can name any wish and you can have it. I know that you're too young to have a lot of money, but I'll give the money to your father, anything that you want. I'm the richest man in this state, the governor of this state. The Italian fella said, well, if I can have anything that I want for my daddy, I'd like for you to give my daddy a racetrack. The governor said, a racetrack? What do you want with a racetrack? He said, so that, you know us Italians, so that we can have our own betting system and we can just go out to the track and win a whole lot of money. The governor said, well, you got it. You got yourself a racetrack. Say it to the Jewish fellow, what do you want, little boy? Little Jewish boy, what do you want? He said, sir, I'd like to have a real bank for my daddy, our own bank. He said, what do you want with a bank? He said, well, sir, if we got a bank where we can have mortgages, we can buy real estate, we can invest in all sort of investments and just make a lot of money with our own bank. The rich man said, well, son, you got it, you got it, you got it. And then he said to the soul brother, he said, what do you want? You name it and you shall have it. The soul brother said, I'd like to have a hospital for my daddy. The governor looked at him and said, a hospital? What do you want with a hospital? He said, I want to be ready to have that transplant when time comes around. The rich man looked at him and said, oh, son, I feel sorry for you. What kind of transplant is necessary for you? He says, it's not necessary now. But when I get home and my daddy find out that I've saved the governor of Mississippi's life, he gonna wear my ass out. And we got germs in our body of the same denomination. That's right, I got sick and went to the doctor with a bad cold. The doctor said, wow, man, you got it. I said, doctor, what have I got? He said, I don't want to tell you, but you got what you got. But you sure got it. You got it, and we're going to shoot you with this penicillin. It'll kill all the germs in your body. When he said that, 3 germs in my body, heard the doctor. The Italian germ, the Jewish germ, and the colored germ said, uh-huh. Heard what that doctor said, he gonna shoot wild man and kill us all. The Italian germ said, let's hear what else the doctor got to say. Don't be so hasty. The doctor said, before I shoot you with this penicillin, wild man, how is your process of elimination? I said, I don't know what you're talking about, doctor. He said, how is your process of elimination? How often do you do? I said, oh, doctor, every morning with or without a newspaper, Jet magazine, I do. Every morning, 8:20. I don't need no Gastron, no X-Lax. I've been doing for the last 20 years at 8:20. The doctor said, if you're that regular, we'll shoot you with this penicillin and it'll kill all the germs in your body. The 3 germs had another meeting. The Italian, the Jewish germ, and the colored germ said, uh-huh. Heard what that doctor said. He gonna shoot wild man and kill us all. The Italian germ said, I don't care nothing about no goddamn penicillin. I'll stay here and hide behind his heart. The Jewish germ said, well, if you're gonna stay, I'll stay too and hide behind his liver. The colored germ said, y'all can hide any place you want to hide. I'm taking that 8:20 out here in the morning. So many different people come into a doctor's office, and a doctor's only human. Every once in a while, a patient will run in that kind of upset the doctor's sex life, and a good-looking young lady walked in, and she was so fine, so beautiful, stacked up so beautifully. The doctor didn't even bother to ask her what was wrong with her. He said, honey, just come on in here, get in on the examination table, take off all your clothes, and he looked at that fine body. The doctor grabbed her by the tendons and started rubbing them, saying, do you know what I'm giving you now? She said, no, doctor. What are you giving me now? The doctor rubbed them tendons and said, honey, I am giving you artificial respiration. She said, oh, carry on, doctor. And the doctor looked at her ruby red lips and started kissing her, stuck his tongue down her throat and said to the patient, said to the beautiful young lady, do you know what your doctor's giving you now? She said, no, doctor. He said, I'm giving you mouth-to-mouth respiration. And all of a sudden, the doctor reached down and rubbed that fine brown frame and rubbed around her. Good Lord, have mercy. And she was breathing heavy. The doctor said, do you know do you know what I'm giving you now? She said, no, doctor. He said, I'm giving and taking your pulse below the rectum. She said, carry on, doctor. And the doctor knew that he was all in the mood. They both was hot and all excited. The doctor took out his ding-a-ling and got up on top of the patient and started stroking, and it was getting good to him. The doctor said, oh, honey. Oh, honey. Honey, do you know what I'm giving you now? She said, no, I don't know what you're giving me, but you're giving yourself to You run into all kind of strange people. I walked into this nightclub. Just before I can get into the club, I got ready to open the door, and a fella walks up to me and said, are you the wild man? I gave him that big wild man smile and said, yeah, I'm the wild man. What, you want me to sign your autograph? 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 And he reached in his pocket, grabbed out a big 45 and said, I'll autograph your ass, goddammit. I said, what do you want to kill me for, mister? I don't even know you. He said, you know my daughter, and you was in town 9 months ago, and you had sex with my daughter, and she's pregnant for you, and if you don't do something about it, you see this gun, I'll kill you, I'll kill you. I said, hold it, sir. I'll kill you if you don't do something about it. I said, hold it, mister. I'll do something about it. If your daughter has a little girl, I'll give her $5,000. If she has a little boy, I'll give her $10,000. He dropped the gun, looked me straight in the eye and said, well, if she have a miscarriage, will you give her another chance? Women are always talking about they're pregnant, and when they're pregnant, they don't want to even admit it. That's right, I took a sister to the doctor, and the doctor said, we've examined you, and we don't know if this is good news or bad news, but you're pregnant. She said, doctor, how dare you talk to an unmarried woman like me like that? I'm not pregnant. The doctor said, now look, you are pregnant. I'm not pregnant. The doctor said, excuse me a minute. He walked over and raised the window and looked out. She said, what are you looking out that window for? The doctor said, when that star comes from the east this time, I don't want to miss it. She said, doctor, I'm not pregnant. I'm not pregnant. The doctor said, well, wait a minute. Let me just hit you with a few questions. Have you been around anybody having sex? She said, well, I was around somebody. I have nothing to do, doctor. Here's what happened. The doctor said, tell me what happened. Well, doctor, we had a big family reunion. All our family came down from Georgia, North Carolina, and everybody didn't have no place to sleep, so we just like a big family. So I slept in the bed with my sister and her husband. Oh, my God, Doc. You don't think none could have splashed off on me, do you? If it did, he sure was wailing. Many people always ask me, said, wow, man, what other kind of work have you ever did besides tell jokes and be a disc jockey? Well, I must go back to my labor vocation. That's right, I worked hard at one time right in your city. Right in your city. Hauling coal. That's right, I used to drive a coal truck. And I had to quit the job, and I'll tell you why. It wasn't because the job didn't pay money, but we got a special delivery for Mrs. Brown. The boss man said, wow, man, I want you to take a load of soft coal and a load of hard coal over to Mrs. Brown's house and drop it down her chute. I said, all right, boss man. I jumped into the truck, got the hard coal on the truck, the soft coal on the truck, drove over to Mrs. Brown's house and backed it up to her chute. And no sooner I got ready to drop the coal, she hollered out the window, hey, wow, man, wow, man. I said, what you want, Miss Brown? You can't drop that coal down that chute now. Don't you see that I got all my clothes up on the line? I said, but let me just drop it now, Miss Brown. I got other deliveries to make. She said, you can't drop it now, doggone it. I got my clothes up on the line. I got so mad with Miss Brown. I ran to the telephone and called my boss. I said, I quit this job right now. He said, why do you quit, wild man? I said, I'll tell you why I quit. I got the soft off, the hard on, and Miss Brown got her clothes up and won't let me put it in. I grabbed this fella walking into the ladies' room. I said, where you going? He turned around with his little queer self and said, wow, man. I said, yeah, I am going to the ladies' room. I said, look at you, a man just like me. You wearing pants just like me. What right do you think that you have to go into the ladies' room? He looked at me with a little smile on his sissy face and said, because I have my mother's features. I said, look at here, faggot. You might have your mother's features, but you got your father's fixtures, so you know where to go. So many things happening to the men's room. And girls, you ought to go in that men's room sometime. If you ever go in that men's room one time, you'll never believe that thing Abraham Lincoln said long time ago. All men are created equal. That's a goddamn lie in that men's room. I am telling you, I went in there and I turned around and looked at a cat. I said, God damn. I said, brother, if I had all of that, I'd rule the world. He said, that ain't mine. That's the cat way in the back of the line. And I'm telling you just like it is. I mean, some of you listening say, my God, wild man must be a faggot. He go in there and look at men. I am no faggot. And if you're a real man, when you stand up to pee-pee, brother, you do kind of peep out the corner of your eye to see what the other guy got. I mean, you don't just turn around and stare at him and say, my God, look what you got there. And I looked at a cat on the left-hand side of me, and I ain't never pee-peed in my life with my left hand. I didn't use my hand as a guide. I used it as a shield. I couldn't help but ask. I said, my God, man, how do you get one that big? And remember what he told me, fellas? He said, wow, man, do you want a ding-a-ling big like that? I said, well, not so much for me, but it would be nice to take it home to my old lady. He said, if you want one big like this, you get up in the morning, you stick it in beans. Nighttime, you stick it in beans. Evening time, you stick it in beans. Morning, noon, and night, you stick it in beans. I said, what kind of beans? He said, human beans. And then this fella right over in the right-hand side, he come running in there with his little ding-a-ling talking about, wow, man, if I had 2 more inches, I'd be a king. I said, baby, if you was 2 inches shorter, you'd be a queen. The men's room was so crowded and I was so embarrassed, I sat down and pee-peed. And when I sat down to pee, a fella walked in and looked at me and said, uh-huh. I thought you was a sissy. I said, what are you talking about, fool? He said, if you was a man, you'd stand up and let it flow. I said, look, fool, I am no sissy, and the only reason why I'm sitting down peeing is I had a little trouble with my back, and my doctor told me don't lift nothing heavy. When I said pee-pee, I saw the expression on that lady's face, and I'm only talking to her through this album. She said, my God, I heard that he was nasty, but I did not think he would stand up on this album and say pee-pee. Yes, I said it, God damn it, wherever you are. Wild man said pee. Pee. Piss, God damn it. Sitting up there acting like you ain't never heard of nobody doing it. And I know some of you out there listening that take a shit sometime. And if you show me one person that don't take a shit, I'll show you somebody that's full of shit. Fella walks up to me and said, wow, man, what kind of women do you like? Well, I said, what do you mean by that? I like women that are good looking, nice looking, with a nice shape. He said, I don't mean about appearance. I mean about their age. What age bracket of women do you like? Well, I'll tell it just like it is, partner. I like women over 40. He said, women over 40? Over 40? I said, that's right, I like them over 40. He said, why do you like them over 40? I said, partner, when they're over 40, they don't yell, they don't tell, they don't swell, they don't smell, and when you sock it to them, they're grateful as hell. I love talking about animals. Every time I start talking about animals, I realize that animals talk to each other. I know that for a fact. I know 2 animals got sick, and they took them over to the veterinarian. The veterinarian said, well, we got to send this zebra of yours. We got to send him out to the farm because he's really ill. They took the zebra out to the farm, and the zebra had never been on a farm before, and he's walking around there, and he speaks a little bit of animal language. He walked up to a chicken and said, what do you do around here? The chicken looked at the zebra and said, well, I lay eggs around here. The zebra said, very good. He walked over to the pig and said, what do you do around here? He said, well, I have a horrible life. And once in a while, somebody take me out and kill me, and then I'm eating pork chops the next morning. He said, that's too bad, you know. Walked over to the sheep and said, what do you do around here? The sheep said, well, I give out wool. Every once in a while, they just get some shears and shave me, and they have wool for their livelihood and all that sort of thing. Then the zebra walked over to the big, ferocious bull and said to the bull, what do you do around here? The bull said to the zebra, repeat your question. The zebra said, what do you do around here? The bull said, you take off them striped pajamas and I'll show you what I do around here. Somebody gotta pick that cotton. That's the name of this great play that took place in a place called Morris Point, Mississippi. And when we arrived to play the part of this great play called Somebody Gotta Pick That Cotton, somebody gotta pick that cotton. The leading lady got sick, and she was such a beautiful leading lady in Morris Point, Mississippi. We could not find a lady that looked as good as our leading lady. So we went out on the streets, and the only woman that looked as good as our leading lady who was ill was a hoe. A prostitute. You can call anything you want to call her, but she was a hoe. And we said, honey, we need you in our place. She said, I'm not going to get up on no stage in my own hometown, and I know that theater's going to be packed. Everybody coming to see that play. You're not going to make no goddamn fool out of me. I said, hold it, honey. When we put that theatrical makeup on you, nobody will recognize you. And we gave another $15. You know, goddamn. She said, I tried one time. We made up, and that night the theater was packed. And everybody came out to see that play called Somebody Gotta Pick That Cotton. Somebody gotta pick that cotton, and the cotton picker was the husband. His name was Cotton Picking John. Got his lunchbox in his hand and going out to the fields to pick that cotton, and all of a sudden he kisses his wife, and his wife was named Sarah. She said, Sarah, I love you, Sarah. I love you, Sarah. And Sarah said, go and pick that cotton. You my cotton picking John. Somebody gotta pick that cotton. Go and pick that cotton, Cotton Picking John. And John knows that somebody gotta pick that cotton. He goes out in the hot sun with the lunchbox in his hand. And no sooner he get out into the field, the lover tips in the back door. Some of you might say, well, how do you know it's the lover? Why, man, I know it's the lover because he comes in singing a love song. Woke up this morning with my afro in my eye, and my baby said, hi. Oh, she said, oh, my lover, come on and sock it to me, daddy. Sock it to me. And they disrobe and get right in the middle of the floor and start making love. And John's out in that hot sun, and all of a sudden he said, I think I'll have me a sandwich. Reach in his lunchbox, grabs the sandwich, bite into it, he said, what? What? Sarah didn't put no mayonnaise on the bread. Sarah, no, I don't eat no goddamn sandwich with no mayonnaise. He runs out of that hot sun, runs back to the house, and there's Sarah, his beloved wife, in the arms of the lover, and they just carrying on, just making love, and he hollers, Sarah, why don't you stop what you're doing and tell me why didn't you put no mayonnaise on the bread? Stop that stroking and carrying on. Where's the mayonnaise? Sarah, goddammit, I'll teach you not to put no mayonnaise on my bread. He goes into the closet, grabs his trusty shotgun, and bam, bam, shoot them both. He said, goddammit, I'll teach you. I'll teach you, goddammit. Next time you put some mayonnaise on my bread, but you're dead now, and ain't gonna be no next time. I'll put some mayonnaise on my own goddamn bread. I killed both of you, and I done did it. Then he goes to the Frigidaire, opens the Frigidaire, and there he looks, no mayonnaise. He said, oh, goddamn. No wonder Sarah didn't put no mayonnaise on the bread. No wonder she didn't put no mayonnaise on the bread. She didn't have no mayonnaise. He grabs his dead wife that he's killed. He said, Sarah, say something. I'm sorry, Sarah. Sarah, say something. Sarah, please say something. Then he looks at Sarah, and the curtain's getting ready to come down in the theater, and he says the most dramatic line in the whole play. He gets up, and he's holding Sarah's hand, and he looks up at the lights and into the microphone. He hollers, oh, my God! Oh, my God! What have I done? And a drunk in the back of the theater hollers, you want to know what you done? I'll tell you what you done. You killed the only hole we got in Morris Point. Many times, so many people get totally confused because when you say you're Jewish, you're looking for a Caucasian-looking individual. And I know this Jewish colored couple, this Jewish black couple walked into one of them exclusive hotels on Miami Beach and said, we'd like to have a room, sir. And the clerk looked at him. The desk clerk said, "I'm sorry, but this is a Jewish hotel. We only rent to Jewish people." And the colored fellow said, "We are Jewish. It's just a matter that we are the darker type of Jewish people." And the desk clerk said, "Well, if you're Jewish, suppose you answer these questions and I'll find out who was Mary." The soul brother said, "Mary was the mother of Jesus." And the desk clerk said, "Well, where did she give birth to Jesus?" The soul sister said, "In a stable." The desk clerk said, "Well, before I rent you this room, why did she have to give birth to Jesus in a stable?" The soul brother said, "Because a mother like you wouldn't rent him a room." I love talking about the Jewish people. I love talking about everybody, even soul people. I went to a soul brothers church in Macon, Georgia, and the Reverend preached a sermon that was so beautiful, but I'd heard the sermon before. And I'm sitting up there with my buddy that had taken me to church, and Reverend said, "Thou shalt hear the story about the 10 Commandments." And my brother started just relaxing and enjoying the sermon. And Reverend said, "Here's the 10 Commandments. I want you to remember this. Thou shalt not steal." And when he said steal, buddy sitting next to me, he looked like he got so mad. He just got so angry. Oh, you could see all the anger in his face. And all of a sudden, the Reverend said, "Thou shalt not commit adultery." And when he said adultery, the soul brother started smiling. I couldn't hardly wait until we got off the church. I said, "Man, I've been hearing the 10 Commandments all of my life, and I just can't understand the expression on your face." When Reverend said, "Thou shalt not steal," looked like you got so mad you wanted to whip the world. And then when Reverend said, "Thou shalt not commit adultery," you had the smile of pleasure all over your face. Tell me what happened. He said, "Wow, man, I'm going to tell it just like it is. When Reverend said, 'Thou shalt not steal,' I looked down and my umbrella was gone. But when Reverend said, 'Thou shalt not commit adultery,' I remembered where I left it." Went to this masquerade party on the outskirts of town. And on the way out, my old lady said, "Steve, what do you think of the costume?" I said, "Darling, we sure gonna win. We look just like a cow in this outfit." She said, "Oh, we sure got it together because we'd rehearsed for about 2 or 3 weeks. She was playing the tail of the cow and I'm the head of the cow." I said, "Hey, honey, why don't we do this? We're right on the outskirts of the place and we're just about 6 or 7 minutes from it. Let's park the car here, put the cow outfit on, go across the pasture just like a real cow, knock on the door and win the prize." She said, "Wow, man. Oh, you're so clever." And we got out the car and put the cow outfit on. I'm the head of the cow, she's the tail of the cow, and we just about walking across the pasture, and all of a sudden a real bull spotted us, and the bull said, "Moo, moo." I turned around, my old lady said, "What is that?" I said, "Honey, that's a real bull." She said, "What we gonna do?" I said, "I'm gonna start eating some grass. You better brace yourself." Went to church last Sunday, the Reverend preached a sermon that was so beautiful. Yes, Reverend preached about the birds, the bees, the trees, and how perfect the Lord made everything. Reverend said the Lord made woman perfect. The Lord made man perfect. When he said man perfect, a humpback man in the back of the church, he jumped up and said, "Reverend, what you talking about, Reverend? What you mean the Lord made everybody perfect? If the Lord made everybody perfect, what about me? What about me and my humpback?" Reverend said, "You, brother, you are the most perfect humpback I've ever seen in my life." Reverend preached such a great sermon. Well, yes, he preached a sermon and a sister came in with a mini skirt on and no drawers on. Some of you might say, "Wow, man, how do you know she didn't have no drawers on?" Because Reverend started talking about her sinful ways, and she was up there in the balcony, and all of a sudden Reverend said something, she jumped up and she fainted, and when she fainted, instead of that mini skirt going down, 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 that mini skirt went up, up, and away, and there she was up there practically naked in the balcony. And Reverend turned around and looked at that naked sister in the balcony. He said, Any man dared look at that woman who has fainted in the name of the Lord shall be struck blind." A deacon in the front row put his hand over his left eye and said, I'm gonna take a chance on the one eye anyway. Reverend said, not only do I deliver the messages from the man above, but I have magic powers if you just come forth and say that you believe. When he said that, nobody believed the Reverend. The Reverend said, if you got some pain in your body, I don't care where that pain may be, just put your hand on that pain and say, I believe, and everything will be all right. Her sister said, what the hell? I take a chance on it. She said, healer, 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 can you do something for my hand? Arthritis in my hand, can you do something? I believe. When she said she believed, her hand became alive, and everybody saw that miracle in the church. And all the old man jumped up with his hand on his head and his right hand on his hip. He said, healer, I have to wobble around and I can't even turn my neck, can't move my head. Healer, can you do something for my head and my legs? The healer said, say the magic word to the Lord. And he said, I believe. And his head became alive and his legs moved, and he jumped up and shouted and boogalooed all over the church. Everybody saw that miracle. And old man, his hair was white as snow. He was about 94. He put his hand down there on his vital organ and hollered, healer, healer, help me, help me. The healer said, hold it, brother. I'm here to heal the sick, not to raise the dead. So many people ask me, wow, man, he always talking about the Italian, the Negro, and the Jew. Heard you talking about the Ten Commandments. How come the Jewish people get credit for the Ten Commandments? And I say to my friend, and I'll say to everybody listening to me right now, I'll tell you why the Jewish people get credit for the Ten Commandments. It happened thousands of years ago, when a soul brother, nowadays they call him a spook, was known as an Egyptian. And an Italian fella, nowadays they call him a wop. And the Jewish fella, nowadays they call him a cake. All three of them was walking in the valley of Mount Sinai. And a voice from Mount Sinai hollered out, will you take my commandment? The soul brother at that time was known as Egyptian. He said, what's your commandment, baby? The voice said, thou should not commit adultery. Soul brother said, no, I don't want your commandments. Later for you, baby, later for you. The next day, the Italian fella was walking through the valleys of Mount Sinai. The Italian fella, that's what they call him in them days, a Babylonian. Nowadays, we might call him a wop. And the voice hollered out, will you take my commandment? The Babylonian, nowadays called an Italian, said, what is your commandment? The voice said, thou should not steal. The Italian said, hell no, man. How in the hell I'm gonna live if I don't steal? You got to be crazy. And the next day, a Jewish fella, nowadays known as a cake, he was walking through the valley of Mount Sinai, and again the voice hollered out, will you take my commandment? The Jewish fella said, how much does it cost? The voice from Mount Sinai said, it's free. The Jewish fella said, I'll take 10. I love kids, but sometimes their families, their mothers, their fathers just don't teach kids mannerism. I'm sitting on the bus with my leg wide open, reading the newspaper. A lady gets on the bus with the little kids, sends the little kids over to me right after she's sitting down, and the little kids walked up to me and said, mister, my mama told me to tell you that if you put that newspaper down and close your legs, I'll have a place to sit. I said, son, don't bother me. I'm reading the newspaper if you don't mind. He goes back and tells his mom exactly what I said. 2 seconds later, he comes back and holler, Mister, Mama told me to tell you that if you close your legs and put that newspaper down, I'll have a place to sit. I said, now look, son, don't bug me now. Don't bug me. Go on, leave me alone. He goes back and tells his mama, and he comes running back to me, grab me by my coat and holler, Mister, Mama told me to tell you that if you close their legs and put that newspaper down, I'll have a place to sit. I said, son, you go back and tell your mammy that if she had kept her legs closed, you wouldn't be here bugging me. Everybody lives in a big city so many times, they never take time out to go to see some of the great sights that they can see absolutely free. Took a friend of mine from a place called Georgia. Took him to the museum, and there he saw all these great works of art. He saw this statue. One statue was holding his nose, and another statue that was pointing his finger, and another statue that was shielding his eyes. And he looked at the statues, all three of them. He said, wow, man, I'm not so artistic, and I don't quite understand all great works of art. The gentleman holding his nose, what does that identify with? I said, friend of mine, that statue holding his nose is showing the sense of smell. He said, well, what is that one with his finger pointing? I said, that good friend of mine, the statue with his arms extended, is showing the art, the sense of direction. He said, well, what has that been doing with a little bashful smile on his face and shielding his eyes? I said, that, my good friend, is really a work of art. The last statue, shielding his eyes, is denoted to the sense of humility, friendliness, and warmth. He said, oh, I'm so glad you told me, Steve, because I was really confused. I said, well, what did you think it was? He said, I thought the first one was saying, who farted? And I thought the second one said, he did. And the third one said, I did not.